Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. At daybreak he appeared in the temple again. And as the people came to him, he sat down and began to teach them. The scribes and Pharisees brought a woman along who had been caught committing adultery. And making her stand there in full view of everybody, they said to Jesus, "Master, this woman was caught in the very act of committing adultery. And Moses has ordered us in the law to condemn women like this to death by stoning. What have you to say?" They asked him this as a test, looking for something to use against him. But Jesus bent down and started writing on the ground with his finger. As they persisted with their question, he looked up and said, "If there is one of you who has not sinned, let him be the first to cast a stone." And then he bent down, wrote on the ground again. When they heard this, they went away, one by one, beginning with the eldest, until Jesus was left alone with the woman, who remained standing there. He looked up and said, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, sir," she replied. "Neither do I condemn you. Go away and don't sin any more."
Here we've got these groups of people, all with different objectives. We have the woman, humiliated, terrified. They're going to throw stones at her, stone her to death. We have the scribes and the Pharisees thinking, "We've got him now. We'll just put him to the test. Can't, but we'll win this one," they thought. And the people looking on in expectation and just wondering who's going to be able to win this, who's going to do what. And Jesus calmly in the middle of it, the adjudicator, just there to manage, to put the perspective to them all.
Yes, he's extremely patient, in spite of the frustration that he may have felt. And I know we look at that story today and say, where was the man in all this? Where was the partner?
My question too.
And the culture of the time, of course, was dictating differently, but Jesus was very much ahead of his time. And I think that's a point that he is making for us, that here was this woman being unjustly condemned because she was isolated and singled out, and it takes two to commit adultery.
Absolutely.
And
yes.
and I think it's a mark of Jesus that we see over and over again in the Gospels, that he's taking the side of the underprivileged. He's taking the side of the person being unjustly either condemned or put in a situation that is just counter to human rights, basic human rights.
Yes, and justice that's relevant today.
Yeah, and without a thought for himself, because he knew exactly what he was getting into. He knew what these people were on about, and it made no difference. Here was someone that he wanted to free, and that's the point. What he came for all of us, really, to set us free from ourselves.
Yes. Well, he couldn't reinforce the scribes and Pharisees' approach and attitude either, could he?
No.
Because there was no justice in that.
The stones are interesting, to stone someone, and they're hurling these rocks. And when you think about the law of Moses was written on stone, and the image there that they were, just as Moses had thrown the stones down and broken them, they were using these broken rocks to hurl at this woman. And I think that in an image that I have is their total abuse of a system that was put in place for the good of people, and how it had been ground down and then used to the advantage of a few.
Yes. Yes.
And so we near Passion Week, we near Holy Week. This is leading us into that great week in which Jesus, who came to set us free, not to condemn, but to free, not to be served, but to serve. We're going to see him in this role in a magnificent way.
Extreme humiliation, but at the same time, the resurrection. We know that follows, and the wonder of it.